Hello everyone, Joseph Dunphy here, and this is your weekly Grass10 grazing management update on the dairy edge. PastureBase figures for the week. Average farm cover is 680 kilos of dry matter per hectare. The cover per livestock unit is 201 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Growth is stagnant at 53 kilos of dry matter per hectare and demand at 49 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Pre-grazing yield is 1490 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and the diet at the minute is around 14 kilos of grass, 4 kilos of meal, and 1 kilo of silage. Dry matter percentages recorded for the week were 15% in Athenry, County Galway, 15.5% in Oak Park, County Carlow, 16.5% in Moorpark, County Cork, and 17% in Grange, County Meath. Grass growth predictions are again expected to be stagnant for the week, with anywhere from low 50s to early 60s expected for the coming 7 days. Average soil temperatures are expected to be between 14 and 15 degrees for the coming 7 days, and rainfall amounts are expected to be between 15 and 20 millimetres for the vast majority of the country over the next 7 days. Before we get into the tips this week, the Grass10 newsletter has reached another milestone, celebrating the 300th newsletter this week, the 16th of July 2024. The Grass10 team would like to thank all our readers and farm contributors for the continued support, along with the sponsors of the Grass10 programme. Click on the link in this week's newsletter to watch a testimonial video from some of our farmer readers. If you have any feedback on the Grass10 newsletter or indeed on the content of this podcast, don't hesitate to email us at grass10@teagasc.ie. And so back to the nitty-gritty of this week's podcast. Growth rates remain moderate for this time of the year at 53 kilos of dry matter per hectare on Irish dairy farms. At growth of 50 kilos of dry matter per hectare, growth is just about supporting 3 cows per hectare on dairy farms at the minute. An additional supplement is needed to bridge the gap. Targeted rotation length of 21 to 25 days, a farm cover of over 600 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and over 170 kilos of dry matter per livestock unit. It's important to target a rotation length of 21 to 25 days, a farm cover of over 600 kilos of dry matter per hectare, a cover per livestock unit of over 170 kilos of dry matter per livestock unit, and to keep pre-grazing yields at between 14 and 1500 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Continue to walk your farm every 5 days. As we're approaching the end of July, we cannot afford average farm cover to drop at any stage. Second cuts, growing since the 20th of May, should be cut this week to allow the possibility of a reasonable third cut. Grass quality remains a challenge on many farms. Paddocks will need corrective action this rotation before grass build-up. If no surplus are appearing on farms, mow post-grazing. Another option is to fertilise a paddock with poor grass quality for a light crop of bales. Apply 25 units per acre or 30 kilos per hectare of nitrogen and cut it in around 25 days if your N allowance is available. There's also an opportunity over the next 7 weeks to apply K with your nitrogen fertiliser. Products like a 29-014 can help to replace K on paddocks that have been cut for silage or surplus bales. It's also important to fertilise paddocks with N correctly in order to bridge the gap in winter feed. However, on dairy farms, it's important to get milking platforms back into grass production to reduce stocking rate and fertilise your out farms then for a third cut. Recommended rates of fertiliser for a third cut are as follows. For aiming for a 3,000 kilos of dry matter per hectare, third cut in September will require around 60 units of nitrogen. So in around 1 bag of protected urea and 2,500 gallons of slurry is the recommended rate. This week's featured farmer is Joe Murphy from Brennan's Bridge in County Kilkenny. Joe's average farm cover is 620 kilos of dry matter per hectare. The cover per livestock unit is sitting at 150 kilos of dry matter per hectare. And again, growth is disappointing as many farmers are experienced at the minute at 49 kilos of dry matter per hectare. Pre-grazing yield is sitting around 1400 kilos dry matter per hectare. Milk yield is 24.5 litres, fat at 4.46 and protein at 3.74. With grass being tight on farm, Joe zero grazed a red clover paddock from an outblock last week to increase his average farm cover. Grass is under control currently, but he's going to continue to monitor the average farm cover by walking the farm weekly. Cows are on 12-hour grass allowances at the minute and are getting 4 kilos of meal in the parlour. Fertiliser is blanket spread once a month on the farm. Grass-only paddocks are getting 24 units of nitrogen per acre per rotation. High clover paddocks are getting 12 units per acre per rotation. And lastly, on this week's newsletter, a reminder that Ballyhaze 24 the Dairy Open Day at Ballyhaise College, Ballyhaise, County Cavan, takes place next Wednesday, the 24th of July at 10 a.m. The theme of this year's event is Future-Proofing Dairy Farm Systems. We look forward to seeing you all there next Wednesday. If you'd like to hear more from the Grass10 team, subscribe to the weekly Grass10 newsletter, which is available on the Grass10 page on the Teagasc public website, and the link to the newsletter is also available in the description of this podcast. This has been your Grass10 update, and I'll talk to you all next week.